Ladies and gentlemen, RosterWatch Nation, welcome back to the epic RosterWatch podcast, brought to you by RosterWatch.com. My name is Alex Dunlap, joined by Cody Carpentier. No Trash Man today, as Trash Man is... Where did he go? Is he in Paris? No, he's
Paris,
in London.
Somewhere. Sheffield, something like that.
Doing something, man. So shout out Trash Man. I think it's like way too late at night for him over there to be discussing 6 players crushing mandatory minicamp. A lot of teams already into mandatory minicamp, but of course, some just wrapping up OTAs. We had a discussion about some news and stuff coming out. Cody thought that this would be a great title and a great topic for this one. Cody, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. It's Friday. Friday's the good day, right? Good Friday. Made it through my first week here in South Carolina and soaking up some sun, getting ready to go plant a garden. So ready to get this pot in.
All right, there you go, man. Well, let's do some deep tilling here into the fertile fantasy dirt and talk about some of these guys that are crushing mandatory minicamps. I know you got some of it. I didn't know that this was going to be the topic, but what do you think about with the Giants right now and the Giants wide receivers? Because I'm not sure if you saw the big pass play to Malik Neighbors yesterday, wherever everybody, just made one of these awesome Malik Neighbors catches. And one of the ones where he, flying down the sidelines, not the great ball. He adjusts to it, makes the catch sort of out away from his body. The kind of catch that just not everybody can make, right? The Malik Neighbors kind of stuff that we saw that with the dynamism from LSU. It's like sometimes when they get on it's like the Treylon Burks, right? Whenever they get on the football field at the NFL level, it just doesn't ever really pop, right? Like it just doesn't pop. And you wonder, what's going to happen with this? And we can honestly, you can get into too much stuff with the rookie mini camps and with the voluntary OTAs and even the mandatory mini camps. Wherever I remember I'm old enough to remember there was a time in my life where people were worried about Jamar Chase because there wasn't the little circle around the football like there was in college. He was having trouble. Of course, this is all stuff we want to take with a little bit of a grain of salt. But to me, I felt encouraged that Malik Neighbors at least looks like Malik Neighbors. Whenever I was looking into more of the Giant stuff, and admittedly, what I was doing was just I was going around on the old Google machine, just looking for more Malik Neighbors highlights and stuff from camp. I came across this article in the New York Post about, have you read about Jalen Hyatt about his weight gain?
What is he?
Well, for one, he's not telling. He's not telling. But the wide receivers coach, Mike Groh, is saying that he's always flexing for him. He's giving him these bodybuilder looks and all the rest. And if you look at some of these photos just from this last week, Jalen Hyatt does look bigger. If you remember, he was skinny as a rail, right, coming in. But he says that he's been in the weight room. He's always in the weight room. He's been in the weight room this whole off season. He said when they asked him about they're like, damn, man, like last year you look like a stick figure. Look at you now. He's, what do you weigh now? And he's saying that he is not going to tell them. He's not going to tell them yet.
This is my problem with this. And he looks
185 185 last year.
That's what they weighed him at, right? Yeah. That's what they called him. Right?
He was listed at 185,
which he's probably playing at 177, 178, maybe. Yeah. He looks the part, he looks like he's retaining some water. He looks like he's 190, 195, whatever, maybe 200. I doubt that, but he looks like he's retaining some water. But Alex, the problem is what is this guy's game? What is he good at? What is he not good at? Right.
Well, I kind of wonder.
And if you add weight, you add 10, 15 pounds, what's that going to do?
Well, all right. So tell the listeners who might not know, I think the people who listen to us know what Jalen Hyatt was coming out of Tennessee, but maybe you can just tell them.
What it's like when you're a weightlifter, right? And you bench press. When you bench press and you weigh 250 pounds, you might have this innate, built up. I can bench 300 pounds. I weigh 250. But if you lose 25 pounds of body weight, you cannot bench 300 pounds anymore. It's just the way it is because your body does not have that natural thing. And it translates directly, what I'm going to say is to speed, right? If Jalen Hyatt weighed 177 pounds, this is the same reason when you see guys in track, right? They cut. They want to be down around that 145, 155 range. Most of these world-class sprinters are that light. And when they come over to football, man, I've been in this, I've been running. You talk to, recruits right now, they're down in that 150, 160 range. I got to get my weight back up for football. These guys are still fast, but they're so sucked down because they want to get that weight off. When your game is built around speed, when your game is built around running those fly routes, those 9 routes, those fades, and that's where you make your hay, which is where Jalen Hyatt made his hay at Tennessee in college, and that's what got him drafted. And
that's what made him Lance Zierlein's wide receiver 1 in the class.
That's what made him his number 1 wide receiver in the class. That's what made everybody think Jalen Hyatt was going to be a first-round pick. He was not a first-round pick. He slipped to the 3rd round because he's so raw of a depth, so raw of a route runner. He does not have a in-depth route tree like a Diggs, etc. This is his one trick. And that one trick, if you go from having 4.40 speed, which he was rumored to have 4.33 speed, never showed up, 4.40 speed, and you gain 10, 15 pounds, that 4.40 speed turns into 4.47, 4.49 speed, and all of a sudden you're just in the NFL, you're just another person in the roster, right? Darius Slayton coming on 4.39. If we're just running like that, like
you think he can still run a 4.39? Slayton, I'm not sure.
I mean, did Slayton gain 15 pounds? Maybe I would bet you money right now. Slayton probably gives Hyatt a pretty good run for his money.
Yeah, it's
talking about Malik Neighbors too. Malik Neighbors probably does the same. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys the speed changes when you gain weight.
Can you believe that? Well, and here's the other thing. I mean, the Giants this season are only going to be favored in 3 football games for as far as the early lines. So I'm not sure how bad that is for the wide receivers here.
It's good for play script, right?
Yeah,
game script they're going to be throwing a lot.
Right, it's good for game script, but I'm not sure how much it helps. Did you hear how Devin Singletary says that? I guess guys crushing. Devin Singletary says he already knows the whole playbook and stuff, and he's a guy who's might be a little bit game script agnostic. But man, the average implied they have the 4th worst average implied team total over the course of their 17 game. Fantasy football, or their 16 game, 17 week fantasy football season of anybody. The only teams with worse implied average team totals are the Carolina Panthers, Denver Broncos, and the New England Patriots. If you look at the implied team total formula input into the fantasy strength of schedule tool, which will be up later at rosterwatch.com. So, even though they could be in bad game scripts, it's like the books aren't projecting them to score many points as it is. I don't know. I thought it was something interesting. I'm not sure that if anybody's crushing it as far as these guys, though. I'd say just by the pure looks of it, just because I want it to happen so badly, I would say it's Malik Neighbors. What do you got?
The Neighbors thing is one that I found a tweet from about 10 years ago that was reposted on Roster Watch, and it was from some Tampa Bay reporter, and it was Mike Evans as a rookie catching one-handed passes, and I just tweeted and I said sometimes these one-hand catches in minicamp matter, and it was in reference to Malik Neighbors. I'm going to go to a receiver though, a rookie, Ricky Pearsall. The news and notes we've gotten coming out of San Francisco have all been positive over the course of the last month and a half, and the connection. This was a quote from not a reporter, but somebody covering the minicamp right now. It says it looks like the Niners may have their version of Stafford to Puka, which I think is one of the hottest takes you could possibly have, referring to Purdy and Pearsall. But Pearsall, like we've talked about, no Brandon Ayuk in minicamp right now. It's mandatory. But him and CeeDee Lamb in Dallas are 2 guys looking for new contracts right now. And we've heard the trade rumors around Ayuk. They say they're going to keep him. We've heard that a million times from a lot of teams. But what we've seen out of Ricky Pearsall right now, even if there is nobody leaving, even if it is all these guys, Kittle, Samuel, Ayuk are all in this offense, Pearsall is going to find a role. We talked about this before with, the Juwan Jennings role, the Ronnie Bell role, all this stuff. Pearsall is better than these guys. And Pearsall created this connection right now. We were talking about this, Alex, a month and a half ago, how important it would be if Ayuk missed any camp. Well, Ayuk's missing all the camps so far, and Pearsall's building that connection, that rapport with Purdy, and he's crushing minicamp to this point, and I think he's going to continue to crush and build up an opportunity for himself in San Francisco.
Pearsall's a dog, bro. I think he's one of these guys that I think Purdy would just kind of like. kind of couple of gritty dudes. You know what I mean? My question to you, I mean, is somebody gonna is Brandon Ayuk real? Is he a $30 million wide receiver to you? I know he's gotten good.
At this stage of the game, I think he's probably borderline just because of where it's going. Right, depends. Like Lamb and Chase are right there. Jefferson just got 35. I'm sure this number is going to go 35 and a half, 36.
Do you think that Ayuk should get paid in the same class range as Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase?
No. I think what's going to happen is that the old 20, right? The 20 million that you'd be looking at for Christian Kirk, right? When we heard these numbers come out a couple of years ago around like the Christian Kirks of the world, it's like, wow, this guy's getting 20 million. I think that new number is going to be like that 25 to 27. So I think that's probably the range that I don't think that Ayuk's not going to hit 30. I've heard the Michael Lombardi thought of, he thinks he deserves it, but we really haven't seen enough.
Lombardi said that? I must have missed that.
He loves him some Brandon Ayuk. He loves him some Brandon Ayuk.
I know he's gotten good, but come on, Ayuk, I just can't talk about him in the same sentence as guys like Lamb and Tyreek and Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
Well, Waddle just got 28 mil. So like that's what I'm saying. Like
gonna want that. How much did Pittman get?
Pittman's 23.3.
So I'll bet he's gonna want.
Pittman's got to be just pissed. He's got to be just mad. He signed that deal so early.
He's not in the same category as those other guys either.
Yeah, he signed early. He signed early that extension, and now he's like looking back. He's like, man, I probably cost myself
man,
$3-4 million a year.
Timing's everything in this world. All right, so one thing I'm not sure. This isn't about anybody crushing it, but I want to hear what you have to say about. So Nick Sirianni is talking about how, I mean, is it possible that with Kellen Moore coming in as the offensive coordinator, and they're talking about the mesh aspects of the offense and stuff like this, because they're saying that the offense to him, he's saying it's 95% new to him.
Yeah.
What if you're Sirianni? What are you doing? It doesn't seem like to me. Why not just kind of keep doing more of the same stuff?
It just needed some tweaks. It didn't need an overhaul. That's the thing.
95% new.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It needed tweaks. They
overhauled.
They overhauled it, and I'm worried about it. Especially when like all you're hearing right now is like John Ross, Paris Campbell. It's like, what do we do? And then they draft Anaya Smith and Johnny Wilson. Like, it feels like they're focusing on the wrong parts, right? You're focusing on John Ross and Paris Campbell, who are 4-3 guys of yesteryear and never broke out. And then you're looking at like Anaya Smith, who's a gadgety guy, who's very nice, but he's a gadgety guy. And Johnny Wilson, who's a big tweener. It's like what you needed to do was just alter a few pieces in this offense to really explode it. Instead, you bring in Kellen. It feels like they've made a mess out of something that didn't need to be made a mess out of. One of the notes I saw was that day 2 wasn't great for Jalen Hurts. The first couple of days weren't great because they're adjusting to this new playbook, and a lot of his stuff has been, check downs underneath. And it's like, of course, it's not going to look good because if they're changing over playbooks, but it also shouldn't be. I mean, it's June 7th, right? We're about a month away from training camp opening up. I guess if you're going to iron things out, right now is the time to get through that rust and get through the mistakes now, rather than end of July training camp comes around.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's not going to get me off. It's not going to get me off of AJ Brown or
no,
or Saquon or anything. But I'm just like, man, just something to put a little, put a little pin in it, put a little, just something to circle back on and just kind of keep our eyes on to see how. Sirianni's a good offensive mind. I don't get it. Just speaking to Lombardi, man, I'm like, he doesn't understand why he calls Kellen Moore joystick. he just doesn't understand where he would bring him in. What do you got next?
The next one, I'm going to go to Houston. I'm actually just going to couple these two tight ends together. I'm going to couple Brevin Jordan together with Robert Tonyan. Robert Tonyan in Minnesota, of course, TJ Hawkinson. The projection is he's not going to be ready for week 1. Maybe he comes around week 6, 7, 8.
What about trash man's N'Keal Harry?
Shut up. He had the ACL. TJ Hawkins had the ACL. They signed Robert Tonyan. They have Josh Oliver on the roster, but Tonyan has looked great in minicamp so far. He's caught everything they've said. He snagged multiple passes in the red zone. Like, that's been the focus point, is that he's been, and we saw what he was. He was a red zone guy in Green Bay that succeeded. He was in Chicago. Now he's in Minnesota. The opportunities at hand for Robert Tonyan. And the other tight end, like I said, is Brevin Jordan. Brevin Jordan's a guy that, you remember him? He was a high 4-star prospect at Miami.
Oh yeah,
broke out early, and then he was drafted, I think, in early third or late second. I can't remember which, but third round. Yeah, he's gotten praise from D'Amico Ryans the last couple of days. And Dalton Schultz is still there, but Brevin Jordan's still there. And you know, you want to look at the all-time stats at these tight ends. You talk about late breakouts. You know, in 3 seasons, Brevin Jordan, again, he's about to play in his age 24 season. He's 23 right now. He turns 24 next month. He's still young at the tight end position, very young. And he's got 525 career yards. Martellus Bennett is a great prospect coming out of Texas. Didn't break out till his age 25 season. And that was kind of when he started to set sail, age 25, 26, 27 with the Giants in Chicago. Mercedes Lewis didn't really break out until his age 26 season in Jacksonville. That was his 5th season in the NFL. Gerald Everett, who's a closer body type to Brevin.
Are you a trash man all of a sudden, dude? Didn't they draft Kate Stover? The Hail Bayer. You don't like, dude. You're from like rural North Dakota or Minnesota or something, man. You don't like it, dude who's out there, you know, making big muscles by baling hay and stuff.
I do, but I also don't like double knee braces. Those kind of scare me off. But I gotta hold the torch on Brevin one more year. I'm gonna
hold the torch for trash man by talking about Robert Tonyan and Brevin Jordan.
Dude, these guys are crushing. Again, this is if it's not the top of the line guys like the Malik Neighbors, it's gonna be these donks, these big donks that get opportunities. And Tonyan and Brevin Jordan are getting opportunities in these respective offenses. And I know there's a lot of mouths to feed in both offenses. Hit me with the cliche alert all you want, but Brevin Jordan, again, age 24, young. Robert Tonyan, we've seen him do it in the red zone in this Minnesota offense. There's a role there for him. These guys are interesting and they're crushing so far in minicamp.
Let's talk about the Raiders backfield, because I saw that there was a Zamir White quote wherever. Gosh, I wish I had it pulled up, but basically Zamir White's talking like, "Yeah, dude, I'm ready to step up and be a number 1 running back." I don't have the exact quote on me. I saw it earlier on my NFL beat writers list. There was something where he's starting to come out and, because Zamir's very talk about another kind of Hail Bay, riding horses out on the ranch kind of guy.
You said Hail Bay twice now. Hail Bay.
I know, but it's just, what did I say? Hail Bay?
Hail Bay twice.
hey, Bale. You know what I'm talking about. Out there baling the hay. But he's a soft spoken dude, very unassuming. And every time I've interacted with him, he's always kind of like this gentle giant guy. I guess he's a big, looks like a statue. But now he's kind of coming out like he's kind of been soft spoken about this stuff. Now he's coming out saying like he's ready to be a number 1 back, all this stuff. So I think that's interesting. I know that you have a semi kind of fade on him. You're not interested in him.
No. Don't put that on Juju on me. I'm not fading. I'm not fading Zamir.
Okay,
well, I get it. I'm worried about him.
At least worried.
Yeah, I'm worried because of the offense. I'm worried because of the offense. But I love Zamir White. That's okay. I don't want to twist that.
He is going ahead of Najee Harris, who we do see as a value right now. Right?
Yeah.
We have the ADPs of Najee. Like Najee Harris, it's not very, like, if you look on Underdog right now, 85.2 for Zamir White, 86.4 for Najee Harris. He's going ahead of DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Brooks, Zach Moss, who's another guy that I'm not sure if, whatever you said that you're a little bit hesitant regarding, but the price for him is getting a little bit up there. We're now talking about the round 5, or I'm sorry, the round 7, 8 turn in best ball, where we know it's going super, super, super zero RB, right? That'll probably be 5th round on the redraft cheat sheet, I would imagine. once we get into more of these regular season long managed leagues. But then the other note I saw, there was some clips from Dylan Lauby from where did he go? New Hampshire. He's from the Senior Bowl, New Hampshire. One of the guys who we really liked at the Senior Bowl, and also just at the Combine. One of the better pass catching sessions that I've seen at the Combine. He's been drawing some praises too. I'm wondering, what is this? Do you think Alexander Mattison can do anything to get in there and kind of mess with this deal? Could this really be a Zamir White, Dylan Lauby kind of deal? Because Dylan Lauby does seem like a player that is, I'm not sure he's crushing it, but he's looking really good. And Zamir White's crushing it as far as what he's saying about how he envisions his role on what admittedly could be a bad team, but a team that plays in a dome, right? A team that could rely on the run, a team that Antonio Pierce, last year, he made it very public with Josh Jacobs saying, look, I don't care what happens. When we give Josh Jacobs the ball 20 times, or when we get Josh Jacobs 100 yards, we win football games. So whether he thinks that's correlation, causation, whatever, he doesn't matter. He's like, that's what we do. It feels like that's kind of part of his spirit as a head coach. Where are you on these Raiders running backs?
I think that's the ideal backfield is Zamir carries the load and Lauby gets all the pass catching work, third down satellite work. The problem is that Mattison can do both to a certain extent, and I think that could be an annoyance. Think Amir Abdullah of yesteryear, where he's bounced around these different teams and been a pain in the butt. Dion Lewis, been a pain in the butt, just bouncing around the teams. These guys that are just, nuisances really in backfields, taking up carries. And then the thing about Mattison is, I've seen him get dropped in dynasty leagues, and I think that's a mistake.
You wouldn't drop him,
as you know, I wouldn't drop him at all.
Well,
I mean, if you can't, but this is a league,
leagues with roster limits where I would have certainly dropped Alexander Mattison at my cut down. But I know you're talking about one of these where you keep 33 players or something, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say 30. 30 is the number. This is a league that carries 30. I think it's 28-30. And at that stage, you can't cut Alexander Mattison. Somebody cut him, and I just grabbed him. I was like, cool, I'll cut Treylon Burks, and I don't care. I'll let Alexander Mattison.
Oh God, the whole Burks thing is messed up, man. The
Burks thing is
aren't crushing it.
We toasted. We'll do that next week. We hit this Alexander. We hit that Treylon Burks thing on the head in February, and it's coming full circle back. People are like, "Whoa, look at this Treylon Burks thing." I'm like, did I not ask that same question? Just phrased it better than everybody else in February, and I got the answer without getting the answer. That's why we stay ahead. That's why we know. But anyway, the Raiders backfield, I think Mattison is just going to be a nuisance. He's going to get his opportunities. He's going to get 70, 80 carries, maybe 120 if, there's an injury or Zamir misses a week or two. It's going to be just a pain in the butt. I don't think we're going to get the, the elite usage that we're expecting out of Zamir. To be quite frank, my expectation and why I'm a little worried about it is because I think it's going to be kind of like a Pollard situation, right? Pollard, he possesses a lot of juice, a lot of upside, but when he's vaulted into that role, we've literally never seen Zamir take over that role. At Georgia, he never had to do it. He never had 200 carries. He hasn't done it this far because he had Jacobs in front of him. I'm just not sure what that looks like, if he can hold it, if the efficiency stays up, and they have a professional running back that's been in the league for 5 years behind him, and Alexander Mattison. So I think in an ideal world, of course, it's Zamir with Lauby, but I think Madison's just going to be a pain in the ass.